All right, that is 3 out of the 6 colors so far. My goodness, I can't believe we have ranked. I can't believe we're halfway through. So next up, we'll do the Ruby cards. First up is a Boo. A Boo is okay. I think Boo is an okay card. He does quest for 2, so I think that does give him some points. I am gonna put him. I will put him up here in the B rank, just because he can quest for 2. And he's not bad. His stats are okay with his 3 strength. He is inkable. He's going to take something out that challenges into him, but he, is banished to like grab your sword or fire the cannons or something. But either way, I do think he's like an okay card if you're playing Ruby. There are other options, of course. He's not really played a ton. Actually, he might be more of a C now I think about it. Because have you seen a Ruby deck that plays a Boo? Not really, but I'll put him up here below Sebastian. He's okay, right? I guess he's just okay. Big Aladdin is a top 10 card in my opinion, and he's the only card in the game really that has you come back from a losing position. Technically, Steal from the Rich does 2 because you kind of steal your opponent's lore. I guess Ursula can as well, Little Aladdin, but not like this guy. Not like this guy. That's a 4 lore swing where your opponent loses 2 lore, and you gain 2 lore. It's literally game changing. He can come out as soon as turn 5, and he can sing Be Prepared as well, like really early if you need to. One of my favorite cards in the first set for a very long time. I mean, probably one of my top 5 favorite, cards or whatever, but I do think that this guy is a top 10 card. He's absolutely phenomenal. 3 cost Aladdin is a solid card in my eyes. Your opponent loses a lore, which can be good, especially later on. You can always play them and your opponent can lose a lore. Maybe they're sitting on like 17 lore and they have an unexerted Cusco in play. You could play this Aladdin, and now they have to find 1 extra lore, to win the game. So that's just an example. Plus, this Aladdin can then be shifted onto by the big Aladdin a couple turns later. So I like him. He's also inkable as well. So I think he's solid in basically any Ruby deck, in my opinion, especially if you're running the big Aladdin. Next up is Captain. Captain is a C rank card. Solid stats, but really only in limited. And constructed for a 5 cost, I'd rather play much other things, I suppose. But yeah, not playing Captain. He's not bad, right? He's not like a bottom 10 card. He does stuff. He can quest and challenge and stuff, but definitely a C rank card. Donald Duck. Donald Duck is going to be a C rank card as well. He has no abilities. He's like Minnie Mouse and Genie. He's still a decent turn 2 play for Ruby. You can either play him or Gaston. I think either one are solid choices, but he's just okay, right? He's just like okay. He's unremarkable. Gaston though, Gaston has shown to be a really good card. I'm actually going to put him in A rank, just because of how he can take out Cusco by himself. He threatens like all of your opponent's like early game characters. He's really good. He's a really strong card. I really like him. I think he's an A rank. He has the highest strength that you can get for several turns in the early game without extra help, right? He's probably going to be taken out in return from whatever he challenges, but I mean he can take out like an Olaf, or he can take out a Lilo and stick around to maybe challenge something else on your following turn. So I like him though. I think he's an A rank card. He has good stats. Reckless doesn't really hinder him too much. You want him to be challenging anyway. Next up is the 5 cost Goofy. This guy, in my opinion, is also an A rank card. He's evasive. He has solid stats. Quest for 2 lore. He's super good, right? There are no other evasive characters that can take him out except for, I guess, Tigger. And then conditionally, you also have Robin Hood, who could take him out on your opponent's turn. But like, Pascal's, Peter Pan's, Flotsams, Flotsam, they can't take him out. Or Jetsam, it's Jetsam. They can't take him out, right? His 4 willpower is pretty good. He's inkable. He's a solid 5 cost play. I think he's good. I think he's do I think he's an A rank though? I think he's better than Tigger. I'd say Tigger is more B, and I think Goofy is definitely a more Yeah, I think he's an A rank. I think he's a good card. I think Goofy's a good card. Minnie Mouse is very interesting. I gave Olaf the B rank with the same cost because Olaf is paired a lot with Emerald, and that gives you access to turn 2 Megara. You know, there are many, you know, Emerald decks or Ruby Emerald decks, I suppose, but they're not like super popular. But I'm going to put her down here in like high C, I suppose, because you don't really have any way to really boost her. You'd have to be playing Emerald to get the same effect that you could with the Olaf, and I don't think it's going to happen all the time. But very interesting stats for her 1 cost. I think she's okay. I'm going to put her below Donald, actually. Honestly, I think she's just okay. I'd probably rather play Sergeant Tibbs in Ruby, in my opinion, but if I was playing Emerald, I'd play Minnie Mouse. That's for sure. All right, next up is Mulan. Mulan was shown forever ago. We've had her forever, and I really thought that she was going to have like a whole deck like built around her, and that just never really happened. It just wasn't really feasible. It can happen, right? It can happen, but I like her effect and stuff. I think she's definitely like a solid B. As far as like what she does, it's just a shame that she just wasn't really played. She's definitely better with Rush. Actually, I don't even know if I would say B because no one actually plays her that much. She's not a bottom card. Maybe I'll put her up here with the Beast in high C. Does she have a great effect? She sure does. Combos well with like the Pocket Watch or something, but maybe she'll get better in the next set, you know? But with the first set, she's just not seen a lot, which is sad. Next up is Peter Pan. Peter Pan is okay. He is an okay card. I don't know why you'd play him in Ruby. Just wait a couple turns and play Maui and get so much more value out of him. So, I'm going to put him way low in C. He's not useless. Rush is cool. And he can still quest, you know, when he's done. He's like a worse Rafiki, and because he has 1 less willpower, which is weird. Just play Maui. I guess if you're playing Ruby, just play Maui. Don't play Peter Pan. Pongo. Pongo's an A rank card. This guy is really good. I'm going to put him up here. Probably above Lantern, maybe. Above, I'll put him... He's an A rank card, right? This guy's really good. Quest for 2 lore. Super early. He has evasive. If your opponent doesn't have like a Peter Pan, you're going to get a ton of lore off of Pongo. Super good card, right? Just super good. Needs to be dealt with, or you can just run away with the game with this guy. He's solid. He's a good boy. Next up is Rapunzel, Ruby Rapunzel. I did really like this card because of the limited format, right? But once we see everything, she's just kind of okay. Better than Marshmallow, I would say. I don't think she's terrible. She's a pretty solid inkable or non-inkable. She's okay, right? I mean, she's definitely okay. You still steal a lore from your opponent and you can quest for 2 lore. And she has impressive stats. I don't think she's absolutely terrible, but definitely stronger in a limited format for sure. Scar, 4 cost Scar. Again, this guy's okay. I'll just put him down here below. Hey, yeah. He's okay. He's a shift target for the other Scar, but why would you want to do that? You know what I mean? Why would you want to play the other Scar? But you know, again, as I talked about, combined with like Pocket Watch or something, this could be a surprise 5 strength character, but then we get Maui, and Maui is like this Scar and Pocket Watch together, so you know, he's all right. C rank card. He's okay. Sergeant Tibbs. Again, Sergeant Tibbs is a B rank card. You know, he's just up there. He does what he does. He's inkable. He's the 1 drop. Stitch. 6 cost Stitch who can quest for 3. I like this guy. I think he's a solid B. I think he's an alternative. I'll put him right here, a high B. Mid B, right? He's solid, right? Great stats. Inkable. Quest for 3 lore. Needs to be dealt with by your opponent, or you're going to get a bunch of lore. So, solid card. Really like him. I really like him. Takal, the rare, I think she's rare. This isn't a super good card. Is she one of the worst cards in the set? She's not played, right? So I will put her in the bottom 10. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We got 10. So I will put her down here because you could just play Maui for like the same effect, right? And plus Maui also has Rush. This thing just has Reckless, and it can't quest. Uninkable, high strength, but not played at all. Just period. Not a good card. Be Prepared. Top 10 card. It's super good. You have to respect, if your opponent's playing Ruby, you have to respect that they could have Be Prepared, right? So you can't overcommit to the board. You have to be careful. It's the only card in the whole game which clears the entire board of characters. Yes, it affects your own. Yes, it's uninkable, but it's so good that, you know, none of that stuff matters. It's really good. It's fantastic. We know how good this card is. It is a top 10 card. Cut to the Chase. Actually, the Cut to the Chase is not good. This actually might be this is a bottom 10 as well. Maybe I'll throw it down there. It does have a surprise use. I mean, for two, no, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Nobody plays this one. I'm putting it down here in the bottom 10 and we'll figure it out because now we have 11. We have 11 cards. Dragonfire. Again, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, Dragonfire was one of the cards where I considered it being like a top 10, you know, like an uncommon in top 10. Because of that, I do think it's a really high A rank card. It is unconditional removal. If it was inkable, I think that would be fine in my opinion, and it would be like really, really good because it's not a song. But it just for 5 ink, you just banish something, and that's fine, right? I mean, that obviously is better than fine. It's really good, right? It's really good. Removes threats off the board. Anything with ward is just done for. So really good. Just straight up banish something. Obviously good effect. Fan the Flames. Fan the Flames isn't a good card. It's like over here with like Sudden Chill and The Beast Is Mine. There's a character who does it. However, the effect is still pretty good to protect your characters. So for 1 ink, you know, you can quest with something and then ready it up. Or you can ready one of your opponent's bodyguard characters and then take them out. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So we're not going to say it's a bottom 10 card because it does have a use, but honestly for 1 more ink, you could just play LeFou in Ruby who has the same effect. So that could be something, right? That you might as well just do that. He's got a sword. That might be a bottom 10. That's just a bottom. It's not a good card. It's just, you just play Scimitar or whatever. It just isn't a good card. No, it doesn't matter. You're never going to use it. It's like Control Your Temper, Healing Glow, whatever. It's not good right now. Not in the first set. Tangle, good in multiplayer, not good in 1v1, period. I don't think it's a good card at all. There's so many other options. I mean, yeah, you could stop your opponent from winning, I guess, but for 1 more ink, just play Aladdin instead, right? For 2 ink, this isn't worth it. It's not worth it to play this card. Now, in a multiplayer deck, like I think Ruby Amethyst is probably really good in multiplayer. Yeah, you can play this. This is good, but not in 1v1. Poisoned Apple. Now, this card was seen a lot. Like, there was a Ruby Sapphire deck with Tamatoa, kind of control-y. This card was used quite a bit. So it's not bad, right? It's not a bad card, but outside of that deck, it's just not really played. Zeus is better. It's okay. It's a C rank card in my eyes. It's okay. It has an effect, but I mean, how often have you seen Poison Apple? You know, in all your games, have you seen Poison Apple? You know, I haven't. I haven't seen it. Now, Shield of Virtue. Now, this is a good card. Shield of Virtue is probably, I'm going to say like a B, a high B. This is a good card. It might even be better. Like, it might honestly be like an A, but I have the Cauldron in here too. You can just ready up one of your characters. So you quest with them, and then you just ready your character. And now your opponent needs to have removal, and they can't challenge it, right? So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I like it. It's inkable, really cheap cost. It's solid, right? It's a solid card. Sword of Truth is going to be down here with the Poison Apple. Same effect, like same idea, right? Sure, you banish it, and you can banish, like, I think it's like a villain or something. So it is useful, but it's uninkable. And just for 1 more ink, you could play Dragonfire, which would cover, you know, almost the same basis. So, but in the Tamatoa deck, it's more useful because you can get those cards back. Next up we have Tigger. Tigger's a good card. I would say Tigger, though, is more like a B rank card. Not for every deck, but his evasive stats are pretty good, you know. Really good in limited, but still, his 4/4, right? 4 strength, 4 willpower means he's the king of evasive characters. And the only thing that can challenge him, or the only character, is Robin Hood, right? And that's in Sapphire. So, which is played quite a bit. But either way, good stats. I like him, right? Quest for 2, right? The picture here doesn't have it. This is an older picture, but he quests for 2. He's a solid card. Next up is the 7 cost Captain Hook. This guy is like, okay, I like him. He definitely has like a use or whatever, but he wasn't played, right? He just wasn't played. I guess he could take out stuff like Tigger as well, because it forces the evasive characters to challenge into him. He just wasn't seen a lot. I do like him though. I like his effect and stuff. I'm just surprised he wasn't seen and played more. But C rank, like low C, he's okay, right? He's just okay. The Ruby Elsa, which is very surprising. She's okay as well. Maybe even less than okay. She's just mid. I wouldn't play her. I wouldn't play this one. I mean, maybe in like a Amethyst Ruby Elsa deck, you put her in there for your Annas, but she's another shift target as well for big Elsa, I guess, but not a good effect, really. I don't like her. She wasn't seen, right? She's not a good card. Now, 2 cost LeFou. 2 cost LeFou is a solid card, right? You play him, you can ready one of your characters. You have another character on the field that can do stuff. I like him. I'm going to put him up here above Olaf. Solid. He's inkable. Really good, right? Really solid card. You quest, you can challenge with one of your characters or quest, play LeFou, then now that character can like challenge again or just be safe from any future, challenges from your opponent. So I like him. I think he's a good card. Next up we have obviously Dragon Maleficent. Not obviously, you can't really tell, but this is a good card. Now, not a top 10. I don't think she's a top 10 card. Really high up there, but I don't think she's top 10 because of her cost. It's really difficult to get to 9 ink, and you can lose games before you get to 9 ink. Now, obviously, in a Ruby Amethyst deck that's kind of controlling the field, it's easier to get there. And also in a Sapphire Ruby deck, you could ramp and get to 9 ink and kind of hope you get lucky. But outside of that, it's a bit more difficult, and you would have to, be playing very well. Your opponent shouldn't be rushing. Now, with that out of the way, definitely a high A rank card, right? This is a phenomenal card. Come into play, banish something. Now you can quest for 2 lore or challenge other stuff with 7 strength. So fantastic, really, really good card. Definitely high A. Speaking of fantastic, we have Maui, and Maui is a top 10 card in my eyes. He's phenomenal. He's inkable. He has rush and reckless. Amazing stats. Very often gets a 2-for-1. Sometimes could get a 3-for-1. But in like a Ruby Amber deck, you can challenge with Maui next turn. Heal him with your Rapunzel. Draw a bunch of cards. Do some more challenging. Amazing card, right? Your opponent is playing Ruby. They're at 5 ink. They can either have Maui or they can have like Dragonfire, right? And I'm honestly more afraid of Maui because he sticks around on the board. This, I think, is a top 10 card. He's absolutely phenomenal, just amazing. Really no downsides if you just want to use him for challenging. Moana, very useless actually. This Moana, now she's not going to be bottom 10 because she has actually good stats. I mean, she can quest for 2. She has 6 willpower. She's not terrible, right? You could play her, but it's like, why would you? I mean, she can banish a Taka, but no one plays either of the Takas right now. So unless there's like a Taka that's like metagame defining, then this Moana is going to be played a lot more. But since there's not, she's just not played. But I'm not going to say that she's like really, really bad, because again, her stats are pretty good, right? She has pretty solid stats. We got 2 left in Ruby. Scar is a C rank card. I don't like him. I like his effect. I get it, right? The Floodborn, this is the shift Scar. He only quests for 1 lore. You can ready up your stuff. In the next set, you can maybe ready up a bunch of the 7 dwarves. I've seen that, but in the first set, I don't think he's good. He's a C rank card. He's not useless. I don't think he's bottom 10 or whatever, but I don't like him. I don't like him. Finally, we have Brave Little Tailor Mickey Mouse. Now, this guy's weird. He can win a game all by himself, right? He might be like bottom of A because he's really good. I know he's featured a lot in like Ruby Amethyst decks as a sort of like alternate threat, and I like that, right? It's either like deal with this Mickey Mouse or you're gonna lose the game. So it'd be good in like a control type area, or you're waiting for your opponent to play like their Maleficent first. So you just play Mickey Mouse and you're like, hey, take him out, or I'm going to start winning, right? So then your opponent plays Maleficent and then you play Maleficent and you know, go back and forth, but your opponent started and you're going to be up. I don't know. It's a good card though. Good card, can literally win the game by himself. No character can challenge him 1v1. Oh, actually I take that back. Steel Simba can take him out, now that I think about it. So that is an option. Steel Simba could. So otherwise, he's an A rank card. I like him. Okay, so that's Ruby. We have 4 out of 6 colors. We're gonna move on to Sapphire. We're gonna talk about the 4-cost Aurora. She's okay, right? I think she's okay. I don't think she's played a lot in Constructed, but in Limited, I do think she's a little better. I'll put her like high up, maybe below Zeus or something. She's okay, right? Come into play, -2 something. That's good for Limited. Constructed is just kind of eh. So, I don't know. I'm not feeling it. 2-cost Aurora. This is a good card, right? She can quest for 2 really early. Also, she makes a really good shift target because she can just shift on her following turn into Dreaming Guardian Aurora. So, I think she's a solid B for sure. And she's just a simple card that can quest for 2. But again, also a really good shift target. Chief Tui. I actually am a fan of Chief Tui. I think he's okay. I think he's a really good 7-drop. He quests for 3 lore, and he can give one of your characters support or 3 strength. So I think he's a nice B, right? I think he's a solid B. Put him up here, maybe below Maximus or something. He's a good target to ramp into. I've found that I really enjoy playing Chief Tui. He just rewards you for questing. So in my eyes, I think he's a nice solid B card. Flounder, again, we talked about this. Flounder is just a solid B, right? The 1-cost 2/2. Grandma Tala is a good card. I think she's fallen off a bit, but I will say that I think she's a really high, like B. I think not quite A, but I think just, you know, you get a reward for questing, or if she's banished, she goes into your Inkwell anyway. So you can ink her, or play her, and then, you know, she goes into your ink later on. So not bad. I like her. She's fallen off a bit. Again, not maybe A status, but definitely a solid B in my eyes. 3-cost Jasmine is going to go right up here with Mickey Mouse. Again, good stats, right? Quest for 3, quest for 2 with her 3 strength and 3 willpower. So not bad, right? Definitely not bad. I think she's a solid 3-cost. But she does compete with Mickey Mouse, though. Actually, I think I'll put her down here with more like Ariel. So she's not bad. Again, good stats. She can be shifted onto because we have another Jasmine. But still, early game 2 quester. Now, 5-cost Maleficent, I think, is an A rank card. She has really good stats. Quest for 3 lore is a really deadly threat in Sapphire. So I'll put her up here like around with Pongo or something. Definitely an A rank, really, really solid card. Very difficult to take down. Needs to be answered with some form of removal, or you're going to get a whole bunch of lore, right? She's inkable, high willpower. Love this card. She's really good. Simba's dad, Mufasa, at a 6-cost inkable, great stats. Quest for 3 lore. I'm going to put him over here with Chief Tui. I really like him. I really, really like him. The more I play him, the more I enjoy this Mufasa. To be fair, I also play Street Rat quite a bit. And I like Sapphire and Amethyst, and this is one of my heavy hitters. But even so, it shouldn't be understated how this guy has really good stats. Yeah, Maleficent is better. She comes out 1 turn sooner, but still, this is another 3 lore quester that can't be ignored. Next up, we have Scar. Now, the Sapphire Scar, he -5s an opponent's strength. Very conditional, but makes for some really good challenges. I like him. I'm going to give him a solid B. He works really well with Pocket Watch. So if you manage to have Pocket Watch in play, you can play Scar -5 something, give Scar Rush, take out that character. He's kind of like Maui in that sense, but he sticks around, doesn't take any damage. I like him, right? It's fun. Give him a solid B. Triton, I like Triton. I'm going to give him more of a C rank, unfortunately. Maybe down here with like Aurora or something. Does he have great stats? He sure does. He doesn't quest for 3 lore though, whereas like something like Chief 2 he does. I'd rather have just the 3 lore over like the higher strength. But in a more limited format, yeah, this guy's pretty good. It's going to be hard to remove him. If it's not Baroque, is going bottom 10, even though it's expanded. Not a good card. Next set, I think it will be definitely better. We've seen some item hate and stuff where you even banish your own items to draw cards. Definitely could be better in the second set, but first set, not good. Work Together, unfortunately, also a bottom 10 card because the Scepter of Arendelle, it does the same thing and it's repeatable, literally the same cost as well. I don't know, I don't get it. This is the bottom 10. Eye of the Fates. Now this is a good card. I think Eye of the Fates is like, I'm going to put it up here like bottom of A. I really do think it's a fantastic Sapphire card. It's like the only way for you to surprise your opponent and suddenly gain more lore out of nowhere and like win the game, right? And sure, you could shift, but your opponent can see that coming, but they can't really see you playing an Eye of the Fates, and then you exert it, and one of your characters now has 1 extra ink. Well, they kind of can, but they can't really stop it because it's an item and etc, etc. It's a good card. I like it. It's inkable. It turns low. It turns characters like Gramotala into like 2 willpower characters that now your opponent's like, great, I have to remove that, or they're going to gain a bunch of lore. So bottom of A, in my opinion, I think it's a good card. Fishbone Quill. Fishbone Quill is a solid, I'm going to give it a solid B, maybe up here with Buffalo or something. Because it is a staple in like Sapphire Steel decks with Bell and Whole New World, where you try to dump your hand, get the 10 ink as soon as possible, and then quest with Bell a couple times and win the game. So that's pretty good. Outside of that though, actually I might put him down here, Mr. Smee. Because outside of that, I don't really see it being useful right now. But in a specific circumstance, it's a very strong card. Same with Mr. Smee, right? So it's going to go down there in B. Magic Golden Flower is okay. I'm going to put it down here with like Scimitar and stuff. It's going to get better next set, but in the first set, it's okay. You can heal 3 damage for 1, and it's an item, so it does combo with like Maurice and Tamato and stuff. So, it's nice. I think I have a foil one, so it looks really nice. But it's an okay, like, playable card, but I wouldn't really play it, but it's not useless, right? It's not a bottom 10, which is now looks like a bottom 20. Scepter of Arendelle, I don't think is like super amazing good, like even like a solid B. I do think it's more of like a C rank card. You do have like reusable support, which is nice, right? For only 1 ink, so having it in play, giving a character support is really handy, just by them questing. But there are characters who have support that's played in Sapphire, like Phil. Can you fit the Scepter in? In an item deck, probably. In a non-item deck, I don't really see it played a lot, but it's still useful, right? So it's a C, in my opinion, in the first set. What else do we have? Oh, we got a bit more for Sapphire. Maurice. Maurice is a good card, right? Maurice is definitely like a solid B. I'm going to put him as a high B because he's such a cornerstone of the Sapphire like item decks, right? You just quest with him. You can play an item basically for free if it's 2 or less, and then draw a card off of it. Super handy, right? If he's removed from play, like your opponent hits him with Let It Go or Dragonfire or something, that feels really bad. But I mean, you need him to draw cards. There's not a lot of card draw in the first set, and I mean, in an item deck, this guy is just like a cornerstone. But he's good, right? You get him going with the items and stuff. You play your Magic Golden Flowers or whatever for cheap. Yeah, he's pretty good, right? Good stats too. Quest for 2. Drawing cards is always good, so I think he's a solid B. Ariel, Who's It Collector, is okay. She is like a C rank card. She definitely needs a deck built around her. I think in the second set, we're going to see some really crazy item stuff, and I think she's going to be featured in that deck. But in the first set, it's not worth it, right? It's just, there's nothing that you can really do to have her pop off, unfortunately. She does combo really well with like Eye of the Fates, but even if you do manage to get something going, it's going to be too late. Your opponent's going to have like a full board and some, you know, high willpower characters or whatever they have, and you just can't deal with it. They're just going to outpace you and they're going to win. But she's fun, right? And I think she's going to be good next set, but she's like a C, right? Solid C. Next up is the 5-cost Aurora. I like this card a lot. I've always liked this Aurora. I think she's solid. Definitely, in my eyes, a B. I'm going to put her up here with Moana, a high B. Giving your other characters ward is really good. So your opponent has to target her before they target your other characters with like Dragonfire or Let It Go or something like that, right? Yeah, I think she's good. She can come out turn 3, quest for 2 lore. She has really impressive stats on turn 3. It's going to take your opponent a couple characters to take her out, I suppose. And I think that's a nice trade, and that's worth it. Ward is good. She's a good card. Next up is Belle. Belle is okay. I would put Belle down here in like the C. Yeah, playing items for cheaper is good, but I mean, Maurice can let you play them for free. We just need, she's gonna be better next set for sure with the more items, you know, that we have, more item interaction. There's so many characters that do stuff with items. She's just not there, in my opinion. She does quest for 2 lore. She is a princess, so there's something there. But outside of that, she's just not played, I guess. She's just not played. She's okay, though. Solid C. Next up is the legendary Belle. Now, she is a good card. This is a very solid card. I will put her, like, bottom of A or so. She does fit into certain decks. You know, again, the Steel, Sapphire, like, whole new road combo. But she is the only character that can quest for 5 lore outside of something like a Tamatoa, I guess. But she can quest for 5 lore. She can do that. If she does that several times, you know, she'll win the game by herself. And she does let you generate extra ink on your turn just because she's there. So she's pretty good, right? I think she's very good. Again, like a cornerstone of an archetype. I think Sapphire Steel is decently strong in the first set, and this Belle definitely helps that. So kind of an A rank card. Again, she's very strong, and I like her. So we're putting her in A. Next up is Donald Duck. I actually am a fan of this Sapphire Donald Duck because he's like a 5-cost with ward. He's kind of like Kuzco, but he quests for 1 less lore, but he has a bit more strength. I think he's a solid B in my eyes. A very solid B. I'd probably put him like up here with Aurora or something, because you can put him down and your opponent can't do anything about it unless they clear the board. He does survive grab your sword, but of course he doesn't survive, say, be prepared. But either way, he's a free 2 lore on your following turn, or he can sing Let It Go on your following turn or whatever. But him having ward, decent stats, like they're okay, right? But still, he's okay. I like him. I think he's a solid, you know, Sapphire card in my eyes, and that's why he's getting a B. Next up is the 7-cost Hades. This is a good card. He's going right up here in A. High A, actually. He is removal. He's like Maleficent, but not. Maybe I'll put him up here with his buddy. He's just good, right? Yeah, he's uninkable, but as soon as he comes into play, your opponent loses a character, but they do gain a lore. Not a lore, I'm sorry. They do gain ink, so there's a trade-off there. So you gotta be careful sometimes, but still removing something off your opponent's board is good. Plus you have a character in play now who can quest for 2 lore or do some challenging or something. So solid card, right? Overall solid card. I do really like him. Okay, next up in Sapphire, we have Jasmine, Queen of Azkaban, I believe. She's pretty good, pretty decent, like shift and whatnot. I have seen her played a little bit in some Sapphire decks, but not a ton. I know she has like some healing payoff, so would probably be better in the next set. But as far as this one goes, she's just kind of okay. I'm going to put her down here in C. I actually don't think she's really that much better than her base counterpart, but I mean, she's okay. She has some solid stats, but I don't think she's really it makes a big impact on the game, I suppose. All right, next up we have the 4-cost Maleficent. She has some pretty good stats, right? I think she's okay. It's weird that though she is overshadowed by the 5-cost one, because if you are playing Sapphire, then you're gonna play a turn 3 Mickey Mouse, Sapphire 1, which gets you the extra ink, and then on your 4th turn you can just ink something and then be able to play the other Maleficent instead of this one. So I think that the 5-cost one just overshadows this one, but this one's still not bad. She has some very solid stats. Still quest for 2, inkable, you can play her on turn 4. She's not bad, right? It's just the other one is just better. Next up we have Merlin. So this Merlin I think is another like okay card. His support is pretty decent, right? His cost is okay, but if you're not looking for the support, you could just play the same Maleficent and the same cost and get that 1 extra lore. But I mean, the support can be handy, but I don't think it's used a ton. I think it's better on Phil on turn 2, but as a turn 4 Merlin, I don't know, I'm just not feeling it, right? I just don't feel it. If you had like 1 more lore, that might be worth it, but I just don't think he's that good. So I'm going to put him down here in C because he's just kind of okay. Now, next up we have Phil, and I've been talking about Phil quite a bit. Phil is definitely a solid like B card in my opinion, because Phil can be played on turn 2 in Sapphire decks, and he does provide an option and a threat against like turn 2 Simba, and then basically any other character that your opponent will have played. I mean, he'll be able to take it out, except for like turn 2 Tamatoa, which would be really weird. But otherwise, you know, he can quest to give something 3 strength, and then, you know, that, you know, character can take out something. So regardless, he's an inkable 2-drop with very respectable stats. He's going to get taken down, you know, by the slightest breeze, but still, I like him. I think he's a good turn 2 play in Sapphire, maybe even more so than like Grandma Tala. It just depends on your deck, right? If you want the extra ink or not. Next up, we have Robin Hood. I'm a big fan of this Robin Hood. I actually am going to put him up here in the A tier. I think he's probably, oh here, I'm going to put him about halfway up through A. He's super good. He's inkable. He can draw you a card when he's played, and he's also able to challenge evasive characters during your turn. And in addition, he can quest for 2 lore. So overall, not bad. Your opponent does need to have more cards in hand when you play him, but you, more often than not, you can kind of plan around that, and you can have like at least 1 less card. Or if you're even in hand size, like you both have 4 cards, you play Robin Hood, now you only have 3 cards, so then you get to draw the extra card, right? Because it doesn't count Robin Hood in that, like as soon as he's played, it checks your hand and blah, blah, blah. So overall, I like him. He's been one of my favorite cards forever. Love the art and stuff. Robin Hood is super cool. So yeah, I think he's definitely an A rank card, especially in the first set, especially because he can draw you a card. Next up, we have Tamatoa. I actually really like Tamatoa. I know a lot of people do as well. I think he's stronger in multiplayer, where there's other opponents doing their own thing, and you can like quietly amass like an item army. But in 1v1, your opponent is definitely going to try to take him out, because he's going to quest for a ton of lore if he stays around for a turn. But his effect is still really, really good. I think he's a solid card. I'm going to put him up here in the B area, probably maybe above Mufasa or so, roughly. He has some really good stats, and he can quest for 4 or 5 lore or something. He gets back items, which is really good, but he has to be protected. If you do have like an Aurora Dreaming Guardian in play, and then you're able to play Tamatoa, he'll be protected. You can do some shenanigans with your questing, and it'll be, you know, really, really good. But I think he's fun, right? I think he's fun. I think he's a solid card that, you know, can and does see a little bit of play. Next up, we have Develop Your Brain. I am a big fan of Develop Your Brain. I know some people aren't, but I think it's a really good like turn 1 play, so you can kind of set up your future turns. It's also good later on in the game where maybe you have a ton of ink, you know, your hand's getting low, you can play Develop Your Brain, look at the top 2 cards, find a good threat, you know, put that into your hand, and then basically be able to play it. I think it's an A rank card, in my opinion. I think it's definitely up here, probably. I'll just put it right here above Tinkerbell, maybe. Yeah, it's kind of card draw, it replaces itself, but I think it's still really solid. I think it's a solid card for sure, and it's inkable. Next up, we have Let It Go. Let It Go, you know, basically the only removal in Sapphire aside from, say, Hades, but Hades does the same thing. Inkable song, really good card. I'm going to put it way up here with Dragonfire, because again, it is removal. You are giving your opponent, you know, an ink, but at least their threat is off the table. And, you know, when you get to like 9, 10, 11 ink, having one more isn't really going to make that much of a difference, you know. But it is singable. You can, you know, have it into play really early, take out an opponent's threat, control the board. It's a great card. If you don't need it, you can always ink it, which is pretty handy. So I think it's really solid. I actually put it, I'll put it over here with the other Hades. Yeah, so it's definitely an A rank card. It's in every Sapphire deck. It's removal. It's great. All right, just a couple more. We have One Jump Ahead. One Jump Ahead is really good ramp. It's very solid. I think it is a good card, especially if you are trying to get more ink into play. I'll put it like mid B or so. I don't play it a ton, because a lot of times you could just play Grandma Tala, who will eventually become ink. But if you need that immediate ink, then One Jump Ahead is obviously better. But One Jump Ahead is also not inkable. And if you're already running the 3-cost Mickey Mouse, plus One Jump Ahead, you have a ton of uninkables. But in a Sapphire ramp deck, that doesn't matter a ton because you're generating more ink. So, you know, it's catch-22, kind of. But overall, it's a song card. Your 2-cost character can sing it for free. You can get a bunch of ink into play. It's a solid card. It's a good card. And next up, we have Coconut Basket. Coconut Basket was really good for a while in a more limited format, but in a not, you know, limited format, it's just kind of okay. So I'm going to put it down here in C, like kind of lowish C. It's still useful. It has like a permanent effect, like, and whenever you play a character, you can just heal something. This is going to be good for the next set, but for this set, it's just okay. Like, it's not amazing. It's better in limited, honestly. I don't think it has a home yet in constructed. And finally, our last card, ironically, is the 3-cost Mickey Mouse, Detective Mickey. Super good card. Obviously, in my opinion, he is an A rank card. I'm actually going to put him really high up here. I'll put him up here, maybe above Pongo. Yeah, because he just generates extra ink for you. You can stay on par with your opponent if you went second, or if you go first. Now you can jump ahead, no pun intended, from One Jump Ahead. I don't know why I explained that. But you can just jump ahead and just have extra ink, get to your threats sooner, and it's just good. He's a good card. He can also sing like Mother Knows Best. He can sing Friends on the Other Side. He could also sing One Jump Ahead on your next turn, you know, or whatever, if you need more ink. So I think, in my opinion, I think he's the best Mickey of all the Mickey Mouses we've seen. I would say that he's the best one. And I said that a long time ago as well. And because of the ranking here, you can see that he's, I have him as the highest Mickey Mouse. And I will say the Steel Mickey Mouse isn't going to beat him. So I like him. I think he's good. You can quest for lore, you know, or do a little challenging, but mostly just quest with him after he's played. So good card. Good card is good. And that's all of our Sapphire cards. So we only have Steel left to do. So let's go ahead and just dive in and we'll finish this up. First up, we'll talk about Aladdin. The 2-cost Aladdin is pretty solid. I know he's played in a lot of like Amber Steel decks because he is a 2-cost that can be exerted with Stitch, you know, to get more not resources, but to, you know, draw more cards. So I don't think he's too bad, right? I'll put him like up here, maybe above Cinderella, He's, you know, he quests for 2 lore. He has 2 strength. He's inkable. He's not bad, right? He's not bad. Kind of like a reverse LeFou stat-wise, but, you know, he's all right. Nothing wrong with questing for 2. Goons, again, Goons is just our, you know, generic 1-cost, 2/2, so he's going to go down here. Just, you know, he's fine. He's with the other ones. Kristoff is good, right? Kristoff is a very solid 3-drop for Steel. He's just like Jasmine here, maybe a bit Jasmine above. I mean, he is competing with like Hercules. That's another 3-drop in Steel. And like for 1 more ink, you could play Hans. I think Kristoff is still a solid card. He's a generic 2 lore quester with 3 strength, 3 willpower. And you can always ink them, right? Probably stronger and limited, but I do think that these generic 2, you know, lore questers for 3 ink are actually decently solid. And I think Kristoff is, you know, is one of those. I think he's a good card. Oh my gosh, here's Be Our Guest. I can't believe I forgot Be Our Guest in Amber. I'm sure a lot, I don't know if anybody forgot that. I can't believe I didn't see this. So we're gonna go back to Amber for a moment. Be Our Guest is a very, very good card. It's definitely an A rank card. Your turn 2 character can sing it. It's an inkable card. It lets you search for, you know, a character. It's really good, right? It's a really good card. If you don't have a turn 3 play, but you have a turn 2 character, you can have your turn 2 character sing this, hopefully find a turn 3 character or 3 cost and put that into play or whatever, right? It's fantastic. Be Our Guest is like pseudo search, kind of. Whoops. It's a good card, right? Be Our Guest is a good card. A rank for sure. Next up in Steel, we have Kronk. I am a huge fan of Kronk. I think he has very solid stats for like a generic like vanilla character, and in a Sapphire like Steel deck, he's a good target to ramp into because the only character that can basically 1v1 him is Maui, but he's going to take out Maui in return. So I think he's a good solid B card. I'm going to put him probably around like the Stitch area. Yeah, I think he's a good target to ramp into, and I really like him. I really like Kronk. Next up is the 3-cost Lilo in Steel. She's okay. She does quest for 2 lore, but with her 2 willpower, she's going to be taken out by like a turn 1 goons or something. So that's not really ideal, but she can still quest for 2 lore. So she's going to go down here and see. She's okay. Her 4 strength is very respectable as well. She's going to take out anything that challenges her at that point, basically, but she's okay, right? Nothing special. She's just an okay card. Next up is Maui, the 8-cost Maui in Steel. He's pretty fun. I mean, he's a pretty cool card. Definitely a fun target to ramp into in like a Steel Sapphire deck. But outside of that, like he's just not really that good. Like he's okay. If you're able to use him, then you're doing very well. But if you can't or he's removed, he just doesn't offer anything. But still, his stats are very, very impressive. I'm going to put him up here in actually like more of a high C tier. Because if you do get him out, it's very rewarding, right? He is a good like high-end drop in like a Steel Sapphire deck. You know, good stats and he's inkable. He's all right. He's all right. Prince Eric is our next Steel card. Prince Eric is an A tier card. He is a fantastic turn 2 play for any deck that runs Steel. On your turn, he turns into a 3 strength, 3 willpower character, and very few other cards can take him out like in response. And the only card, like, you can challenge Gaston, and Gaston would, you know, they would trade, but outside of that, in the 2 costs, there's really nothing that could take him out. So he's very good. He is a very, very strong turn 2 card. I'm actually going to put him pretty high up here, maybe behind Mickey Mouse. Yeah, he's just fantastic. I think he's just really good. It's mostly because of his 3 willpower that allows him to survive a lot of return hits from a lot of characters in, you know, that 2 or under cost. So really good, really good. Prince Eric is solid. Simba is a pretty good Steel card. I like him as a turn 1 play. Looting is okay, right? In the sense that if you're really looking for something, or maybe you have a Tinkerbell, a turn 3 Tinkerbell, but you don't have like the shift Tinkerbell, you can use the Simba to maybe help you find that. So, and that can be good, right? So I definitely think he's really solid in that regard. I might put him like low A because looting is very handy and he's a very good turn 1 play. Later on in the game, he might not be as good. So maybe I'll put him down here more in like the high B. Yeah, I'll put him in a high B. Because I think on your first turn, to help set up for future turns, he's good. But later on, you know, unless you're really digging for something specific, I don't see him being as useful. Yeah, he is inkable, so you can at least put him, you know, down for ink, but I don't know. I think he's better in the early game and not as good, you know, later on. That's my opinion. So he gets a high B for me. All right, next up we have Simba, the 7-cost Simba, the one you find in the starter deck. He can challenge evasive characters, which is really handy. He has good willpower, he can quest for 2, but he's not really played a lot because evasive isn't really like a huge thing. He's a fun card, kind of like Maui, but just not really that played, I suppose. Maybe in like a Steel Sapphire deck or something where you can get him out sooner. Otherwise, I think he's just kind of okay. You don't really see him a lot in any steel decks. All right, next up we have the 5-cost Simba. Now, I actually really like this Simba in Limited. I think he's a really good Limited card, but in Constructed, I think he's just kind of okay. His stats are pretty decent. He can quest for 2 lore, and if he does challenge and banish something, you know, you do get a lore, right? So your opponent loses the character and you gain 1 lore. Not bad, right? Not bad. Again, definitely stronger in Limited, but he's okay. He's still okay. He's not a bad card. Next up is Starkey. Starkey, I don't think is that good. Yeah, he can get like 1 more lore, but you know, at this cost, you could just play, I don't know, Cerberus or something. Yeah, Cerberus might have 1 less lore, but he has, you know, slightly better stats. Starkey's just not played. Now, if it was +1 lore for each captain you have in play, now we're talking. But if it's just, you know, any captain, no matter how many, and he just gets 1, it's just okay. He's just kind of like an okay card. He's not played. I'm gonna just put him down here, mid to, you know, low C tier. He's inkable, sure, and he's good for a pirate themed deck, but I don't think he's that good. Taka, the legendary here in steel, she's very interesting. She can quest for 2, but if she also challenges and banishes something, then I think you get 2 lore as well. So there are some uses here. I think it can definitely be a surprise. You can even be doing like Steel and Amethyst. You could play Pocket Watch, have her come out of nowhere, banish something, get 2 lore. That's pretty good, right? That's pretty good. Otherwise, I think she's just kind of okay, but I think she's more on the high end of okay. I definitely think she's like useful. I'll put her higher C. She's not bad. She's inkable. She's way better than the other Taka. And no matter if you challenge or if you quest, you're still getting 2 lore. So she's okay, right? I think she's okay. Whole New World is really, really good. It is a really good card if you can play it properly, right? You definitely want to play it when you can get the most advantage. Like you have a character sing it. Maybe your opponent has a ton of cards. You know, if you're in a losing position, it's better than nothing. If you're winning, you know, it just helps you win more. It's still a good card, right? It's like a wheel. They call it a Magic the Gathering. You just have to be careful with it. But with that being said, I do think that just getting a whole new hand of 7 cards is really, really good. I'm going to put it up here, maybe behind Prince Eric or so. It is a high A tier card, maybe even higher, but you just have to play it properly or you're just going to give your opponent a lot of advantage. And I have been on the other end of a Whole New World where I was just able to take over the game because my opponent gave me a ton of great cards. So you just got to be careful, but it's still a really good card. Technically the best card draw in the game as well. Next up is Break. Break is okay. Break is just, maybe not even just okay. It's like, it's like mid, right? Maybe not even mid, because Beast can do the same thing for a few more ink and you get a body, but it's still useful. You could still use it. It's definitely not like a bottom 10. It's probably more like down here in the bottom of C, because it still has a use, right? If you're playing against a deck that has a ton of items, it's useful, right? It's in next set. We're going to see some more in this set. It's not really used a lot, but I don't think it's completely, is it completely useless? I might put them bottom here. Yeah, it might be a bottom 10 card or so. It's bad. It's all right. It's all right. We'll just move on. I'll just say it's all right. It's like slightly below mid, but slightly above bad. Fire the Cannons is a nice solid card. It was good for a very long time, especially when you would play like Captain Hook, you know, and then get this card back. That was a really fun meta. So because of that, I think it is really good removal. For 1 ink, you can do 2 damage, and it is recurable with the 4-cost Captain Hook. So I am going to put it up here in like more of a, like the high B area. It can take out a lot of characters like Peter Pan, which is like, you know, ironic. Like most of the 1-drop characters, some of the 2-drop characters. It's a solid card, right? It's solid. I think it's nice, deserving of its B rating. Next up is Grab Your Sword. Grab Your Sword is a fantastic spell, like action card. It's not spell, just an action song card. It's amazing. Definitely an A rank, high A rank card. I might actually put it maybe above Simba here. Yeah, maybe above Simba. It's incredible. It's an incredible card. It is uninkable. It does cost 5 ink. If you're able to sing it, it's obviously much better. You know, dealing 2 damage to all of your opponent's characters. It doesn't affect yours at all. That's super good, right? Really, really good. Can be sung by Ariel on turn 4, can be found by Ariel, right? And then sung, and it's so good. It's such a good card. All right, next up is Ransack. I'm not going to talk much about Ransack. I think it's a terrible card. I'm putting it down here in the, bottom 10. I don't think it's good. If we have more effects and abilities that target the graveyard or your discard pile, cool. This will be better. But until then, it is not good. You're drawing 2 and getting rid of 2. So you need to have at least one other card in your hand, plus this one, in order to get some sort of benefit. And I just don't like that. I don't think it's good. Speaking of a good card, next is Smash. I think Smash is a fantastic card. I'm actually going to put it up here in the A tier. Pretty high in A, actually. Maybe above Robin Hood or so. Maybe below Just in Time. It's fantastic. It hits so many characters. It works well in combination with Grab Your Sword to take out any character with like 5 willpower. It's really good, right? It's basically, you can just, on turn 3, you can just take out one of your opponent's characters. Or even later on, that 3 damage is nothing to scoff at. Like, it's fantastic. It's a really good inkable card. I like it. I think it's good. I think it's a good card. Beast's Mirror. Beast's Mirror is up next. I like this card, especially in Steel. Yes, you can't have any cards in hand to really get its effect, right? So that could feel bad. You're basically top decking. But with enough ink, you can just draw a card and you can play something and then spend 3 ink and draw another card. Pretty good, right? I definitely think it's a good, solid B. Actually, I'm going to put it like high B because it is card draw. I'll put it below Moana or something. Yeah, it's fine. It's a nice solid card. It's basically a staple in all Steel decks because it's better than nothing, right? It's better than nothing. Next up is Frying Pan. I don't think Frying Pan is a terrible card like a bottom 10 or whatever. It is useful and you can get it back with Tamatoa. So that's something you could do there, like a fun little combo. Stopping something from challenging can be good. Like you can hit your opponent's Maui and now they can't do anything. They can't do anything with that Maui except maybe sing a song, but outside of that, it's like, meh, like I still don't think it's terrible. I don't think it's like bottom of C because it is useful. And I did review it a long time ago and it has a very interesting effect. And if you are trying to protect something like maybe a Kuzco, right? Maybe your opponent has 2 characters in play and, only one of them has more than 4 strength. You can use your Frying Pan, target the one that has more than 4 strength, and then you quest with Kuzco, and your Kuzco is basically safe, right? And that's just an example. It's not a bad card, right? It is a one-time use. It's inkable. It's all right, right? Frying Pan is all right. Next up is Musketeer Tabard. This one I think is a better multiplayer card, in my opinion. I know there are some, Steel Amber decks that really try to use Bodyguard, but I still don't think that this is really amazing. For 4 ink, you're just playing this card and then hoping that one of your Bodyguard characters gets taken out. You're going to quest or you're going to challenge or something. Like, I'm not sure. It's weird because it's like a payoff for something your opponent does. And sure, you can like get rid of your own characters by challenging, but with the high, willpower of Bodyguard characters, I don't know. I'm not feeling it. But in multiplayer, you can just kind of set this up and do your own thing with your bodyguards. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. So I think it's a better multiplayer card than it is in a more 1v1 setting. Because you basically play it and then hope for the best. So it is useful. Drawing cards is good, but I will actually put it at the bottom of the B tier. Yeah, I'll just put it down here in the bottom of B. Again, it's situational. It's okay, but it's useful. Drawing cards is good. But I just don't, I'm not feeling it. Not right now. Next up is Plasma Blaster. Plasma Blaster, I love the idea of it. For 3 ink, you can just deal 1 damage to something. It's very handy, like dealing 1 damage can be good. You can combine it with like Stampede, if you're playing Steel Emerald, but at that point you can still play Fire the Cannon. So that's a poor example. Steel Sapphire, with items, it's a decent item and you can keep reusing it, but it's uninkable. 3 cost, it doesn't really do anything until you spend more ink. So I think it's more of a C tier card. I don't think it's like that good, right? Low, mid C. It's okay, right? It's all right. It is what it is. Gantu is not a good card. He's not like bottom 10 because he does have some decent stats, right? 6 strength, 6 willpower, quest for 2. He does have an ability. It's just not very good, right? It's not very good. I know he's like a meme and a joke character, but he really isn't a good card right now. He costs too much at 8 ink. Doesn't really have like too much of a payout or payoff, I guess, unless you had a bunch of characters in play. But your opponent is just going to play grab your sword and remove your stuff anyway. So he's down here bottom of C. I don't think he's that good, but he is at least playable. You can still do stuff with him. Next up is 3-cost Tinkerbell. By herself, I think she is deserving of like a nice high B rating because your opponent doesn't know if you can still, if you're playing Tinkerbell, like the Giant Fairy Tinkerbell, you probably are, right? You probably are playing Giant Fairy, and they have to respect that. This Tinkerbell isn't going anywhere. With her 4 willpower, Smash will not take her out, right? She'll still survive. You can still exert her to draw a card and then discard a card, so she's still useful as well. She's not just going to sit there and be scary. But playing her on turn 3, followed by a turn 4 Giant Fairy Tinkerbell is just devastating. So she's deserving of this high B, if anything, just to mess with your opponent. But odds are if you're playing her, you're playing the other Tinkerbell, and that's a good card. Next up is Cerberus. I love Cerberus. I've been a huge fan of him ever since he came out. I actually tried a just-in-time strategy with Cerberus because there was a lot of good like 5-cost, or I think it was just Cerberus and a couple Amber cards like Goofy and stuff. So I like him, right? And even so, I like ramping into him and Steel Sapphire. He's got great stats, right? He fights like Giant Fairy Tinkerbell. He trades with Maui. He's a great card. So I think he's a solid B in my opinion. I would put him actually pretty high up here. I'll put him above Mickey Mouse. I think he's good. I think he's a very solid card. Great stats. He's menacing, right? He's good for challenging. He can quest safely. He's inkable. He's a very good generic, or vanilla. Next up is the Beast, where when he comes into play, he breaks an item. Really handy. Most decks play like at least one item. Amber has Lantern. Ruby Amethyst, has so many items. Emerald doesn't really have any items right now, but maybe if they're paired with something, they'll have an item. Regardless, there's a lot of items that he can smash. He's also inkable. He has good stats for his cost. He can quest for 2. I think he's solid. Definitely a very good B, like a high B rank card in my opinion. I'll put him up here with Aurora. He's good, very solid, great come into play effect. Messes up opposing steel decks as well when you get rid of their Beast Mirror. He's good. He's definitely a staple in the steel decks for the set 1 in my opinion. Next up is Captain Hook. He's a captain of the Jolly Roger, where he can get back Fire the Cannons. When combined with Fire the Cannons, he's really good, right? So if you are playing Fire the Cannons, you almost want to play Captain Hook, at least a couple copies of him. I did a card of the day with the 2 of them because they need to be played together. There's no point in playing this Captain Hook unless you're playing Fire the Cannons, because this Captain Hook just doesn't have good stats. His ability is a come into play ability, and for his same like cost, you could play, the Maleficent or whatever, who has 1 more lore and it's same exact stats, But being able to get back Fire the Cannons and to reuse a removal is really good. So I am giving him like a B in my eyes, because he should be paired with Fire the Cannons, and that's just really good removal. Plus him being on the board means he can quest or he can do some challenging. He's really solid, right? I think he's a solid card. Plus, he's a good shift target. I mean, not the best, but you can shift onto the other Captain Hook to make him a little stronger. The Floodborn one. Better than nothing. They're both uninkable, Fire the Cannons and Captain Hook, but I still like this Captain Hook quite a bit. Next up, speaking of Captain Hook, we have the 1-cost Captain Hook, and it should be no surprise that this is an A rank card. This is probably the best 1-drop in the game. He's absolutely amazing. I'm actually going to put him above Prince Eric, just because he's so good. Like, your opponent isn't going to want to quest with their character because Captain Hook's going to take him out. He's good early game. He's even good he's decently good later on in the game because he can still challenge something for 3 damage. And that's for only 1 ink. That's pretty good. He's also inkable as well, and he makes a fantastic shift target for the other Captain Hook. This guy's amazing. We've had him forever, right? He's like a D23 promo. He's a great card. Definitely an A rank card. He's a steel staple. And you know what? We got one more Captain Hook. Let's talk about him. I really like this one. So the Floodborn one can be shifted out for only 3 ink. Your opponent's characters that cost 3 or less cannot challenge him. So he will control the early game, which is absolutely insane. He has 5 willpower, and he'll have 5 strength when he challenges. And because he can be shifted out on your 3rd turn, if you're playing Amber, on your 4th turn, you could play Rapunzel to heal this guy and do some more challenging. He's really good. I think he's a very, very solid card. He is uninkable, which is, you know, a little rough, especially because there's so many uninkables in Steel. But a couple copies of him I think is pretty good. I'm going to put him up here in the high B. Maybe not necessarily for every Steel deck, but I have seen him played quite a bit in like Steel Amber, just because he has impressive stats. You know, other characters below 3 cost can't challenge him, or 3 and under, I guess, and he can be healed by Rapunzel. So overall, pretty solid. He's a pretty good card. Next up is Donald Duck. Now, Donald Duck, the Steel one is, I think he's okay. He does allow your other like bodyguard or your musketeer characters to challenge evasive characters, which can be really handy. But, you know, like, he's just another bodyguard. You know, I think he's okay, right? He's just an okay bodyguard. I don't think he's like crazy. If you're playing a bodyguard deck, yeah, he's pretty good, but he has some really good stats. Like, he's definitely a wall, but I'm not feeling him, right? So I'm gonna put him like down here, maybe below Mulan or so. It's good, right? He's okay, he's playable, but no, I don't see him a lot of Steel Amber decks, you know, but definitely in the bodyguard deck. So I think he's just okay. And next up we have Hans. I really like this 4-cost Steel Hans because he can quest for 2 lore, and when he quests, he can deal 1 damage to any character, and it could be your own. You can ping your own character for 1 and then heal it with Rapunzel to draw an extra card if that's something you want or need to do. His stats aren't amazing. He's probably going to get taken out by a lot of characters with his 3 strength and 3 willpower, but questing for 2 and dealing 1 damage to something every time he quests is pretty good. I think he's definitely a solid B, maybe even a high B up here. I'll put him below Dreaming. Oh yeah, I'll put him below Dreaming Guardian Aurora. Yeah, he's good. I think he's a good card. He's inkable. He has a payoff when he starts questing, which is what you want to do, and he just starts damaging stuff. So he's good. I think he's a nice solid card. Next up is Hercules. Hercules was a really good card for a while. He could protect your like 1-cost Maleficents when we didn't have all the cards, and that was crazy, right? You could just, you know, a couple Maleficents during your first turns, then you play a turn 3, you know, Hercules, and that was it, right? Then like you had control of the game. So he's inkable, he has great stats, right? He's a 3/3. He'll at least trade with something, which is pretty good. He's a pretty good bodyguard character. But he's not played a ton, unfortunately, anymore. You don't really see him. There's just other things people play. He's not really played a ton. I'll put him down here with Donald Duck. You don't see him. He's a good card, right? He's good, but he's not like absolutely crazy amazing, I guess. But inkable, 3/3, plus for 1, not bad. Second to last card, we have Mickey Mouse, Bodyguard the Musketeer. Now, this one I think is pretty good. I think he's a good bodyguard because of his 7 willpower, and he does quest for 2 lore. So he's pretty good, and he does give your other Musketeer characters +1 strength. So your Donald Duck would go up to like a 3 strength, and your Goofy would go up to 4. That's not bad, right? That's not bad. I think he's like bottom of B tier. Yeah, he does cost 6, but that's 7 willpower. It means even Maui can't get through him. It's going to take at least 2 characters to get through this bodyguard before they, you know, any of your other characters get challenged. So if you want a bodyguard character to protect your stuff, it's going to be this Mickey Mouse, I would say. Like, he's good. I mean, unless it's too much, right? If your deck doesn't really want to go to 6 ink, then you're going to play something like Donald Duck, I suppose. But I really like the 7 willpower and 2 ink on this guy. I think he's a pretty good Mickey Mouse. And I'm going to put him down here at the bottom of B. I think he's pretty good. And last but not least, we have Giant Fairy Tinkerbell. And this wasn't, on purpose. She just happened to be the last card. Obviously, top 10 card. She's a top 10 card. She's absolutely amazing. Really no downside. She has a come into play effect. She's inkable. Really great stats. And when she banishes something, you can deal 2 damage to a character. And she can quest for 2 lore. Absolutely insane card, right? So how many do I have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Who did I put? Oh, here we go. So I think I have 10 cards up here in the top 10. And I actually do have, in my personal opinion, what the top 10 cards are for the first set. And I would put number 10 would be Friends on the Other Side. You just draw cards, but it's still like free card draw, and it's still really good. Next up, I would probably put Stitch Rockstar. He is fantastic, right? But you need to have that payoff in being able to play other cards after him. But he still quests for 3 lore really early, and if he's not dealt with, you're going to fill the board with characters and replenish your hand. So he's really, really good. Next up, at number 7, I'm actually going to put Be Prepared. It does cost a lot, but even, like I said before when I was talking about it, if you're playing against an opponent who's playing Ruby, you have to respect that they have Be Prepared even if they don't. And that makes this card really, really good. It does take out your own stuff, but still, it's an absolutely fantastic card. I would probably put at number 6 is going to be Big Aladdin. I really like Big Aladdin, and he's like basically the only card that can keep you in the game. He can be shifted out, steal 2 lore from your opponent, you gain 2 lore. I love this card. Easily one of my favorite cards in the set. He is very, very strong. And I think he's honestly deserving of a top 10 slot because of how he can switch, like change the tempo of the game, keep you in the game or help you win more or something, help seal the deal. Really great card. And then coming in at number 6, I'm actually going to put Maui. I think Maui is really good, right? He's basically removal on a body. He's going to get you at least a 2-for-1. By the time he comes out, there's nothing that's going to have 5 strength. He'll take out a character, stay on the board. Your opponent either challenges him with one of their other characters to remove him, or they have to use like a removal spell, and that's still a 2-for-1 for you, because that's 2 cards from your opponent for only 1 of yours. He's inkable, rush, reckless, a fantastic card. Really, really good. Number 5, coming in at, the top 5, in my opinion, is Kuzco, another rare. I think he's great. Really can only be dealt with a board clear, which is Be Prepared, or if your opponent plays like double grab your sword or something like that. But either way, you're going to get 3 lore off of him as soon as he hits the table. So if you have 17 lore and you put him down and your opponent can't remove him, you win the game, which is absolutely crazy. So he's like the most expensive rare, or at least he was. He's amazing. He's my number 5 in top 5. The only emerald card up here. He's super good. Next up, I'm actually going to put at number 4 is going to be Big Elsa. I think she's fantastic. Amazing come into play effect. Fantastic stats. Quest for 3 lore. She's just great, right? You play her on turn 8. Lock down 2 of your opponent's characters. You can challenge them or, just buy yourself some time. She's just absolutely incredible. She's the 2nd most expensive legendary for a good reason, right? She's super good. Really good card. And then coming in at number 3 is probably going to be Ariel Spectacular Singer. She can sing a whole bunch of songs, right? But you do need to have those songs. She can't search for them. So, hopefully when you play her, you're able to find like Grab Your Sword or A Whole New World or Let It Go, Mine Knows Best, Friends on the Other Side. There's so many fantastic songs that she can sing and she can also find. And then, once she does that, she can find a song, she can sing a song, she can quest if you need to. She's inkable. She's fantastic. She really is a very, very strong card that honestly is probably just going to get stronger in the future once we have more songs, especially that cost 5 or less. And then coming in at number 2, in my opinion, of, top 10 cards is actually Giant Fairy Tinkerbell. I think Giant Fairy Tinkerbell is amazing. She comes into play, as I just mentioned before, all the same stuff, right? She is crazy. She is crazy good. I mean, we all lost it when she was shown, and it hasn't changed. She really is that good of a card, and she is in like the best deck right now. Like the Steel Amber, she's a core feature. Same with Ariel, and then same with, you know, Rapunzel and Stitch, right? 4 of the top 10 cards are all in the same deck because they are that good. And she is no exception. She really is a fantastic card. I don't think she'll be overshadowed for a long time. I know people are talking about that new Cinderella coming out and how that one's like replacing Tinkerbell, but that's, I mean, they're different decks, right? It's just different play styles. She still does 1 damage to everything being played, and when she banishes something, she deals 2 damage to something else. She's still really good card. And of course, number 1, in my humble opinion, is Rapunzel gifted with healing. I really do think she is the best card in the whole set. That's reflected in price as well. She's like a $50 card or so at the time of this recording. Not only does she heal one of your characters, but you get to draw cards. She can quest for 2 lore, and she's inkable. You can also control the damage by challenging with one of your other characters, have damage on them, and then play Rapunzel, heal the damage off, draw cards. It's insane. She is a very, very strong card. She is very good. I initially didn't like, it's weird because I actually was reviewing Amber cards like a long time ago, but I never made the video. And I was either like, Rapunzel is one of the best cards ever shown, or really, really bad. That was actually how I talked about it, because I was like, what if you don't have any damage on your characters, and what are you going to do? But that doesn't matter. We figured out how to do that. You know what I mean? So, in my opinion, Rapunzel is a top 10 card, or is the best card in set 1. Now, as far as the worst cards, I don't know if I can pick 10, you know, of these, but honestly, down here, these are, in my opinion, the worst cards of set 1. Again, I think some of them will get better, like It's Not Baroque, and Genie Unleashed, Part of Your World, Healing Glow. These are probably better. It's just like a Part of Your World maybe shouldn't be down here. Honestly, I'll put it back up. Part of Your World is at least okay. I don't think it's deserving down there compared to everything else. But like Healing Glow, Hakuna Matata, that stuff will get better next set. I don't see how Taka can be good. Cut to the Chase, that's not good. I don't think it's that good at all. Dr. Facilier's cards will be good. Once we have decks that have like a ton of actions and stuff, that's going to be really good. Prince Eric, again, might be good with cards that let you challenge ready characters. He's got a sword I don't think is good at all. Tangle is good in multiplayer. Work Together is outclassed by an item, which is weird. And Ransack might be good in the future. I don't feel it, right? And Stampede is like, what the heck, right? Now, Stampede might be better set 2, because there are a lot of like damaging type things with Emerald for set 2, but I don't know, right? But that's just my opinion. So, but yeah, here is my list. This is how I rank all of the set 1 cards. Some of the places might be a little weird, right? But I do feel pretty confident placing, you know, like Tigger up here in like a B rank, or like Ursula up here in like an A rank, right? You know, but some of them, you know, I do think like the Maleficents are the, you know, queens of A. Maybe these items are the best things in B. Rapunzel is obviously the best card in the game, you know, etc., etc. So, but yeah, that's my list. I wanted to do this for a long time. This is a long video. It's gonna be real long, so if you stuck around, actually, I probably did a 2-parter. I think I'm going to do the first 3 and then do the next 3 after that. So, yeah, it's going to probably be a 2-parter. So, but I appreciate you, you know, taking the time to watch my video. You know, let me know what you think. If you agree with my, you know, my top 10 or my bottom cards, or you think, you know, oh, this card should be higher, this card should be lower, you know, whatever your reason. But I don't know. I like my list. I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good about this. So, really excited for set 2. That's going to come out real soon, like within a week. Actually, it'll come out next week, and I can't wait to see all those cards and finally, you know, get to play with those. So, but hey, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. You stay safe out there, make good decisions, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye.